boxing on Channel 5. Defending his name, his legacy, Harlem Eubank. Battling his way up the super lightweight rankings. Can he remain undefeated? Big Fight Live, Eubank versus Urusquieta, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
Just nasal spray, yeah? Do you know with nasal spray you can fail a test, do you know?
Hopefully I'm not getting tested. Do you know something I don't?
Yeah, Harlem, I said this to him at the back end of last year. I feel like he probably, or arguably, had one of the best 2022s of any British fighter at his stage. 4 wins, Tom Farrell, Mashadod in them wins. I guess you two kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he started his first fight with us.
Why are you asking him all the questions?
Yeah, well,
I'm going to go one at a time.
brains, isn't it? Brains of the operation. No, I mean, no, he started out on the undercard of Myris Bridges in Riga, and then he went on to.
He's asking you. Fuck. I've just had a bit of Sudafed, I can't remember. No, but look, the idea is to keep him very busy this year. Last fight, 1.88 million people tuned in to watch him. And, you know, we're going to keep him busy and hopefully British title, something like that, sort of after the summer.
Yeah, is that kind of what the plan's going to be? Because the British title holder now, Dalton Smith, is a massive fight. And I feel like Harlem's perhaps maybe just teetering on the edge of, after this fight, Summit big. So Dalton Smith, Harlem Eubank in the Summit is just a huge fight.
Yep, definitely. I've just remembered it was January, Liam Williams undercard against Romanian guy who quit on his stool, was a European champion, Viriol, Simeon Viriol or something like that. What was the question?
Harlem Eubank and Dalton Smith.
Harlem Eubank, Dalton Smith. I don't know. Amazing fight. I think it needs to build. It needs a little bit of breathing space. But yeah, that's a great fight to make. We work very well with Eddie. We work very well with you know, everyone in Matchroom. So it's a fight that can be made.
And in terms of the viewing figures, you mentioned it was 1.8 million last time out for Harlem, 1.5 for Lyndon last week. This is the perfect platform for Harlem to excel on.
Yeah, look, you know, when you've got that many people watching, and let's not break any bones about it, I think, you know, Okolie at the weekend was watched by, I think, an average of 54,000 viewers, and Lyndon Arthur was watched by 1.5 million viewers. So, you know, if you put on a good performance, you like it to be seen. If you don't put on a good performance, it's better hidden. So, you know, yeah, and look, you come back to your point on Harlem, he's progressing so nicely. You know, we work great with Adam Booth in talking about the career development path. I go along with what Nisse says about the Dalton Smith fight. I think it's a bit early for that, for both of them. If it comes, it comes though. If it's ordered, it's ordered. Won't shy away from that. But at the same time, I look always at the world rankings as well. I'm pushing him up there as well, regional belts. But we're not in a rush. I think the key is to keep matching him well. Nisse did a great job bringing out Tom Farrell last time. Was really match fight, nice fight. You know, Tom had his moments in the fight. And you want your opponent to have a few moments in the fight because it shows you pushing yourself to the limit and you move on to the next, you know?
And on the undercard, I want to talk about Matty Harris. So exciting for a heavyweight. I know he's been brought in and used by a lot of top fighters for sparring, which I think in itself says quite a lot. Still in that learning development stage, but yeah, one of the most exciting prospects, not just in heavyweight boxing, in all of boxing at the moment.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. He's opening up the card on Friday night, so he'll be the first fight on, which is a great platform for him. The issue is that we have is finding people that will go a few rounds with him because he seems to get rid of them quite quickly. I'm hoping that Veletic, he's durable. He went the distance against Murad Aliyev over 8 rounds. So I think he'll go a few rounds and you know,
it's a step up.
We'll see a bit of a step up in Matty and see how far he can go.
Is it one of them situations where you talk about how hard it is to get people to fight Matty, where perhaps he might end up having to be moved a bit quicker than you originally thought, simply because it's them bigger fights that he's going to have to get because these guys don't want to fight.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about UK boxing is you have that traditional route. So you have those English titles, the British titles. You have that traditional route, which in many countries you don't have. You've got to go straight into the world rankings, really, or European rankings. So there's a traditional route to go up, and that's probably the route we'll go with Matty. If those opportunities come a bit earlier, sit down with him, have a look at it. But sometimes you got to pull a young man back a little bit, and take it step for step. It's heavyweight boxing, and when it gets to 12 rounds, it's a different game. So it's about not necessarily the opponents even, which is a big part of it, but the most important part is how you progress from 4-rounders, 6-rounders, 8-rounders, 10-rounders, 12-rounders. Yeah, but Matty's he's been around a lot of the top pros already in camps, but watch those hands. They seriously do damage.
Got on some muscle as well. Yeah, he started filling out. You've got to remember he's a young man. He's starting to put on some bulk now. So with that, it's going to come even more power.
Yeah, can't wait to see Matty in action. Of course, a good night of boxing in York. Right, lads. I think you know what I'm going to say. Sun Sports article yesterday saying that it's close to being agreed. Close to being agreed for. I'll say does that mean you're the man to ask under pressure then? Close to being agreed. Conor Ben, Chris Eubank Jr., June the 3rd. I know we spoke a little bit in the week last week, but first off, where are they getting this information from? Son?
I'm told from the show in Manchester at the weekend. Someone even told me it was Liam Smith who said it. I don't know. It's certainly not from us. I called the other side, asked them, have you put this story out somewhere, like even off the record? No, and why would they really? So no idea. I have no idea where it's come from. To be fair, I haven't actually read the whole article. I saw it quoted and tweeted on Twitter. But listen, we had that around the first one. I remember Gareth Davis breaking a piece. Yes, the fight did get up being made, but at that stage, God's honest truth, there were no contracts exchanged, and I can say the same thing now. We haven't received any contracts, no contracts been exchanged. Yes, we've been flirting a bit. Yes, we've also been waiting around a while, trying to close off the final points around the Liam Smith fight. So, we've got a meeting straight after this today on Liam Smith, and see where that goes.
I know Liam was quite vocal, obviously, last week in Manchester. Has he spoken to you or expressed kind of any disappointment or frustration about the news consistently surrounding Chris and Conor? I know it probably would because it's the biggest fight of the lot, but has he expressed any frustration to you guys about it?
Liam?
He's not our fighter, so no.
No. Because it seems like he's waiting on Chris, or so that's what he's telling us.
I mean, not to me.
I don't think you're talking to Liam Smith on a regular basis. I mean, I love Liam, but nice guy and everything. But I don't talk to him on a daily basis. So, if I read correctly, Liam has only agreed to deal with Boxer last week. So that's also a little bit, what's been going on in the background. But at the end of the day, it's not Liam's fault. It's that this. I'm not saying that he put the article out there. I don't know if it's frustration. I don't think so. If I look at the interview, he doesn't seem to be too bothered. So I don't know. I'm not going to go reading Liam's mind. But like I said, we have a meeting this afternoon. See if we can conclude our business this week. But I do expect within the next 7 to 10 days that hopefully that Smith fight's been made.
I know. Obviously, Coogan asked this to Eddie yesterday around potential. Whether there would be complications surrounding the British board and allowing Chris to fight abroad. I don't know if seeking permission is kind of the right term, but you guys have said you will speak to the board if Chris is to fight in Abu Dhabi.
Well, let me answer that one. I would say that we've been waiting to speak to the board since last September regarding certain events. So I don't know what the procedure will be. If we want to speak to the board, the last time we tried to speak to the board about Chris Eubank Jr., we were told to speak to their lawyers. So, I don't know. it's something that isn't top of my agenda for today.
Is it something that you would want to go ahead if, I don't know, say the board wouldn't comply or they weren't happy with Chris fighting abroad? Is it something you would be happy to go ahead with using the commission that would be in Abu Dhabi?
Well, I sort of switched off. I'm watching Harlem do pads with Marnie.
Harlem Eubank does look fantastic, I've got to say. He does look fantastic up there. But let me take that one. I think he's left that one with me as well, hasn't he? No, I mean, look, like I said, we've been flirting around the idea of doing it. But we're far off. We haven't done any contracts yet. We'll deal with it step by step. I can't see the board matter if it's on foreign soil and it's a sanctioned fight by a reputed governing body. And let's face it, the testing standards will be probably the most tested athlete in the world. We'll certainly make sure of that. But like I said, it's very, very premature, all this. We've had a flirt, and that's about it. And it's very nice that people are writing articles and jumping the gun, but I can only confirm that I haven't been in Abu Dhabi in the last few weeks. I haven't, I saw the rumours, but that's about it.
I will ask one more thing on this. Obviously, June the 3rd is the date that's kind of being murmured, and definitely a date that I know from speaking to Conor, he is dead set on whether it's Chris or not. If things don't go for June the 3rd, will they be carried on post June the 3rd? And then is it something that you will just continue and look for September/October?
I mean, it's a fight that, a lot of people, whether they admit it or not, would like to see. It's a chapter of my life that I certainly would like to have closed. But everything's got to be done the right way, by the book. And, that's also a process. Is June the 3rd realistic on a sporting level? Absolutely. But again, we're also looking, at other things around it.
Moving on, obviously, Anthony Joshua fighting this week. It's always a big event when Joshua fights and he's back at the O2 Arena. Kind of putting your fan hats on, when Joshua's been in so many mega fights over the last few years, can you understand why perhaps there's a few people who have a slight dip in interest when it comes to a fight like this, even though it's still a big fight?
I think interest's just as big. I think it'll be sold out, but by normally Anthony Joshua sells out in 24 hours. But I think people tend to forget that we're going through a bit of a cost of living crisis, and people have to sort of save for their tickets and maybe purchase them on the night. I think he's still a big attraction. He needs to win this fight. I don't think Jermaine Franklin's an easy fight. I think we saw that against Dillian Whyte. I also think that British boxing definitely needs AJ still, so I'm rooting for AJ to do the business on Saturday and put on a big display.
Are you kind of the same thinking that British boxing needs Anthony Joshua to win on Saturday night?
I think that let's be straight about it. If you took top 10 pound for pound British fighters and walked them down Oxford Street, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Chris Eubank Jr.,
Conor Benn.
Probably have to throw Conor Benn on that list as well, for other reasons. Those are the faces, and there's a few more. I'm leaving off the list here, but Tyson Fury and AJ are. If you go down the pub and you speak to a mainstream sports fan, man or woman, and you said, name me two fighters, they come out with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That is simply a fact. So, do you want him involved in the sport? Absolutely. Am I intrigued in a very different way to him defending world titles? I find it almost more interesting Saturday night, because it's a question of what's he got left, what's he changed. Franklin's alive. Dillian Whyte is a very, very, very good heavyweight. He gave him murders. He gave him hell. Whatever way you scored that fight, he gave him hell. So if I look at it, I'm intrigued by Saturday more so than the second Usyk fight, which I expected Anthony. I think it was a big mistake to take that second rematch straight away. But it's his career, his business, He probably won't see that. He might do after his career, but let's, as it being involved in British boxing, get behind him, because he's one of the people that drives the sport, brings in numbers, and those numbers filter down to small hall shows and whatever. That's the way that's the way the industry works.
Just one more thing from me. Obviously, you guys represented Maris Bridis, and during his reign as Cruiserweight champion, obviously Jai Opetaia, after Okolie's fight, was calling himself the man that beat the man. Looking on from Lawrence's performance, I know obviously there's been quite a lot of criticism surrounding it. Do you kind of feel for Lawrence on a certain level, considering it's been quite long out of the ring? There's been a lot of talk around different things and background stuff with Lawrence, but ultimately he's still world champion. So just kind of your take on the last week.
Feel for him. He got paid a lot of money on Saturday night, so I don't feel for him. He had a so-so performance, which you can put down to him being out of the ring for a bit. But a man to beat in the division, I don't care. He lost to Opetaia. He's a three-time world champion is Maris Bridis. If you ask any expert on cruiserweights, who has done the most in that division, it's Maris Bridis, without a fact. He is the one out there that poses the biggest threat. Ask Jai Opetaia. Yeah? And if you look at the fact that he had to take 7 months out after that fight to repair his jaw, which was fractured in about 17 places, it is what it is. He didn't get the decision down under. Yeah, it was jaw. 32. In any case, let's put it this way: to say that Opetaia is now the man to beat in the division, Opetaia, he got a good hometown decision.
If there was a 13th round, he would have been finished.
He's standing KO. But those things happen. But it doesn't mean that Maris Bridis now isn't the man to beat in the division. He's been there far too long, beaten the best, fought everyone in front of him. Had an absolute split and pick and fight with Alexander Usyk. Beat Dorticos. You name him in the division, he's beaten every name in there. So it's like, you look at the champions with all due respect, that's the guy to go and beat. But will Okolie go and do that? I don't think he will. He didn't do it when it was a unification, so I don't expect him to do it now.
I know it's always been a fight that's interested Maris. Is that still a fight that he talks to you guys about? I know he was kind of trying to chase Jake Paul for a little bit, but is the Bridis fight, is the Okolie fight one that still kind of interests him at this point?
Yeah, of course. I think any of the world champions right now. But yeah, does Okolie want to fight Bridis? I doubt it, because he'll lose. And that's with the greatest respect to Okolie. After that performance on Saturday, yeah, it wasn't the best. And it was against a guy I would have expected him to knock out within 6 rounds. It just seemed like he couldn't get his range right. Just didn't. Wow, just wasn't very impressive.
Let's put this straight. Harlem Eubank on Friday night on Channel 5 will have more fans in the York Hall than Okolie had in Manchester in the big arena. And for me, the only fight in the division that you would fill an arena is the Bridis fight. He sells tickets wherever he's gone. Whether it's in Germany, 9,000 when he beat Marco Huck, sold out down under Australia. Everywhere we've gone with him in the World Boxing Super Series, America, wherever, massive fan base, and Latvians are all over the world. We sell a lot of tickets in the UK as well.
Refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,